This is Support is Sexy, episode 189. Why that change you're going through might be just what you need. Welcome to Support is Sexy. I'm your host, Elayne Fluker, entrepreneur, author, and founder of Chic Rebellion Media. 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, I interview inspiring women entrepreneurs who share their wins and their lessons to help you take your business and your life to the next level and create something sexy. Here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to a new episode of Support is Sexy. I'm so excited to have you here. It just would not be the same without you. And today I wanted to share with you something that I discovered about myself. You know, sometimes I even surprise myself. I would say that I consider myself an introvert. And although I know how to turn it on when needed, you know, we're all extroverts at one point or another, especially at work, or if you're a woman who's ambitious and that kind of thing, you have to know how to turn it on. And I think you know what I mean by turn it on. You're out there, you're social, you're doing your thing, you're turned on. But turning it on for me requires work. And for someone who's an introvert like me, and a lot of you may be able to relate, it requires a lot of work and effort, which usually means you end up feeling exhausted afterwards. Now, that's just because, as they say, introverts use their energy in a different way than extroverts. So for us to put ourselves out there, be really social, take in a lot of people and that kind of thing, afterwards, we usually need a break because we feel exhausted. In fact, in the show notes for this episode, I'll link to one of my favorite books on being an introvert. It's called Quiet by Susan Cain. If you've been listening to the podcast, you've heard me mention it between episodes here and there. One of the best books that I've read on being an introvert. In any case, for this reason, I usually prefer me time or intimate interactions with people where I can lay back, be myself, don't have to exert too much, or do it naturally as opposed to really getting up the energy to interact with strangers. I hope that doesn't sound weird, but if you're an introvert, I know you can relate. We're the people who, at a party, will be in the corner having a deep conversation with someone while everyone else is dancing, right? So, that's not the part that surprises me, though, because I know that about myself. I am who I am. I love who I am. It is what it is. But what surprises me is how I have become the princess, I wouldn't say the queen, just the princess of networking since I relocated to Atlanta. Those of you who have been listening, you know that I relocated from Brooklyn to Atlanta to be closer to family. And I will say that in the past few months as I've been here, I've been connecting with new people maybe 3 or 4 times a week. To some of you, that's nothing. You do that in a night. For me, that's a lot. Now, I've never had trouble building relationships with people, but honestly, I will say, since I worked and lived in New York for so many years, you know, I'm from New York. I know a lot of people there. I've been in my particular industry for many years. So after a while, you get comfortable knowing who you know, and you don't really feel like you need to meet new people. I didn't quite subscribe to the no new friends model, but I did feel like I'm good. But I will tell you, the move to Atlanta, being here, and maybe too because I'm not in a city anymore, I feel like I'm separated from everybody. The move really changed all that. The change changed all that. A new environment, a new perspective, a new need to push myself outside of what I'm calling my complacent zone. Not our comfort zone, the complacent zone, and the need to get out there and meet new people. And for me, the priority really is creating opportunities to continue to build my business. That's what it's about, in addition to meeting great people who are here, finding out more about the city, going to restaurants and different places, and just experiencing Atlanta through people who have been here a little bit longer than me, some very long, some more recently. But it's great to do that with people who sort of know their way around, right? So I'm connecting with people, talking about my business, but really just getting to know folks here and seeing who's here. In fact, there are a lot of people here I didn't even know they were here. Who knows where people are anymore, right? We're all online. We have no idea where we are. So it has been a great discovery for me. Discovering what's great about the city of Atlanta and discovering this part of myself, getting out there and not realizing that for so long I hadn't done that because I was complacent. I was in my complacent zone. But this episode isn't about your need to network. I actually find networking, or the term networking as we know of it, It's kind of slimy, but connections, I will say, are crucial. Nothing's wrong with networking, but I really focus on connections. But like I said, that's not even what this episode is about. This episode is about you looking at change in a different way. Is there a change that you might be avoiding or one that's coming up that you might be doubting that you can think about in a new way? And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. Like I said, this all was a surprise for me and something I've been thinking about lately. Like, wow, I've been going out a lot and meeting with a lot of people and that kind of thing. And I hadn't done that in so long because I was in the space of being comfortable doing what I was doing. This change renewed all of that for me, gave me a new kind of energy. Of course, a new environment and all of those things help, but maybe it's not relocating. Maybe it's something else that you have just done or you feel coming or some kind of change that you're not sure about or afraid of. Is there a way that you can think of this change as an opportunity to do something new and to get outside of what feels just normal for you? So 3 ways that I think the change has been really good, and I think it could be good for you, depending on whatever you're going through, is 1, as I said, you already know what you know. It's time to learn something new. We all get very comfortable knowing what we already know, sticking with what we already know. You know, we do that with meals. We do that with places that we go to. We do that with routines. And some of that is good to have routines, have habits. It helps you to stay on track, like with dieting and what you're eating and that kind of thing. They say it's actually good to have a pattern of eating the same thing or similar things all the time so you don't have to think about it. You don't get too off track. Got it. But there are other ways, and I'm sure you can think of them, that it's time to learn something new. You're doing the same thing. You've been doing it forever. You might even be bored with that thing and want to learn something new. But because it's comfortable, you stay there. Change, depending on what kind of change it is, can put you in the position to learn something new, even if it's a change that you don't like or is a quote unquote what you're seeing as a quote unquote bad change. It could help you learn a new way of coping with whatever that thing is or this new challenge. Then you have that skill and you've learned something new. Another thing, as I mentioned, I don't subscribe to the no new friends model, but I get it. We have our people, we have our tribes, we have the people that we have good relationships with, whom we trust, and all of that great stuff. Totally get it. But not even just thinking about new friends. And this is from obviously the connection standpoint. New friends, sure. But what about new perspectives, new relationships, new ideas, new opportunities? There's so many things that go into new quote unquote friends. Instead of just sticking with what you know, again, with the same old people doing the same old thing, get around some new people. Maybe not arbitrary new people. Find people who are doing the thing that you want to do, that are already doing what you want to do. Get around them, soak up the information, ask them questions. This is a great way to learn new ideas and new things that you want to go after. That's what it's been for me. I've been connecting with people. One of the things, I'm actually going to do an episode about this. One of the things that was top of my list for this year, for 2017, was finding a business mentor. I have mentors across various industries. Some have been mentors since I was 20 years old. Others are newer, but really having someone that I work with, talk to week, really focused on helping me grow my business, giving me feedback. That was a high priority for me, a quote unquote new friend. And I accomplished that being here in Atlanta, in a new space, open to new ideas, and found a mentor actually with the organization that I said I wanted a mentor with. So I'm going to do an episode on that later, more on that later. But again, opening you up to new ideas, new people, new perspectives, new opportunities for connection if you get out of your comfort zone and embrace that change. And the last thing I'll say, this actually goes beyond comfort zone. I called it for myself my complacent zone, right? Very comfortable doing what you do. You almost feel like you don't even need to network, or you don't need to meet new people, or you don't need to do all the things that we may think we're above, whether you admit it or not. I know you think you don't need to do it. I get it. But you may be stuck in your complacent zone. You're laid back, you're relaxing. In that way, you don't think you need to do anything to help move your business forward. But that change could be just the thing that helps you move forward. Yes, you're ambitious and that kind of thing, but are there still areas within your business, within your life, where you're being sort of complacent? You're just going with the flow because you're doing what you've always done. You're going to places you've always gone, being with the people you've always been with. You might be being complacent. So think about this change as an opportunity to get outside of your complacent zone. Do something different. Even if you're an introvert, do something that pushes you to get outside of your complacent zone from doing the things that you've always done. Try something new. Embrace change. This change might be exactly what you need at this moment. All right, so thank you all so much for listening. As always, you know I appreciate you. Get in touch with me, Elayne, at elaynefluker.com, or on social media at Elayne Fluker or at Support is Sexy. Please be sure to follow, subscribe. In fact, subscribe to the podcast. Thank you for all the new listeners and the old listeners who've been there from the beginning for the podcast. I truly appreciate you, but make sure wherever you're listening, iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play, SoundCloud, that you subscribe. So this way you don't miss an episode, and it really helps the show. We make sure that we reach you and that you don't miss anything. So be sure to go to subscribe. And while you're there, if you feel up to it, leave us a review. Let me know what you think of the show. Give me any feedback. A 5-star review is awesome. But anything you want to say, I appreciate hearing from you. All right. So again, thank you so much for listening. For information, including the book that I mentioned, Quiet by Susan Cain, go to supportissexypodcast.com, search change, and this episode will come up and you'll be able to see the link there. So now you know what to do. Go out there and create something sexy, and I'll talk to you soon. Take care.